it's rather rare, but from time to time, WWE has to drastically alter their plans for a show whenever a real-life problem occurs. Now, these events have ranged from huge tragedies to adverse weather, and the WWE have had different approaches in each specific circumstance. But which times were they? Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 real-life moments which altered WWE forever. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. The Blizzard of 2015. Following the 2015 Royal Rumble pay-per-view, fans were extremely angry with the WWE. They'd booked Roman Reigns to win the Rumble, and fans simply had no desire to see Reigns' main event WrestleMania 31. Luckily for WWE, a blizzard hit Hartford, Connecticut, and this forced them to cancel plans to have fans in attendance for Raw. This was to be a major edition of Raw for WWE, as it would begin the build to WrestleMania 31, but instead of having fans in attendance, they filmed a number of backstage segments involving their top talent, and they would even film a showdown between Rumble winner Reigns and Brock Lesnar, which actually received rather positive reviews. If Raw actually went ahead with fans in attendance, they would have without a doubt hijacked the show, and they certainly got a lucky escape on this occasion. Number 9. Stone Cold walks out in 2002. Now, on the road to the 2002 King of the Ring pay-per-view, WWE booked an absolute dream match between Brock Lesnar and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, Lesnar was booked to win this match, but when Austin heard the creative plans, he decided to walk out of the company. Austin had an issue with losing to Lesnar on free television. He believed that a match of this magnitude should have been presented on pay-per-view. Following his walkout, Austin wouldn't appear for the rest of 2002, and WWE superstars as well as Vince McMahon made a number of personal comments on television regarding Austin's walkout. WWE being without Austin could have seriously impacted the company, but luckily they were in the midst of building new talent, and they were forced to push talent who they wouldn't have traditionally pushed in the absence of the Rattlesnake. Austin would eventually rekindle his relationship with Vince McMahon, and by early 2003 he would be back in the company ahead of WrestleMania 19's showdown with The Rock. Number 8. The Bomb Scare. A WrestleMania 7 headlined by Sergeant Slaughter vs Hulk Hogan for the WWE Championship was initially planned to take place at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. This was an outdoor stadium which could hold over 100,000 people, and it would have been a perfect fit for WrestleMania. But according to WWE and Sergeant Slaughter, due to his gimmick being that of an Iraqi sympathizer, there were rumors of a bomb being dropped during WrestleMania. Thus then the show was moved to the much smaller Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena. However, in recent years, the credibility of this rumor has been put into question. It's believed that the show was actually moved due to poor ticket sales and not a bomb scare. Number 7. The 2007 steroid scandal. Now, in 2007, 11 WWE superstars were named in the Signature Pharmacy scandal. Now, this scandal was rather severe, and it related to the Signature Pharmacy distributing steroids and prescription drugs to superstars who didn't have a legitimate prescription for them. The names involved were the likes of Edge, Randy Orton, Booker T, and Mr. Kennedy, all of whom were top talent in the WWE. In relation to Mr. Kennedy, he was in the midst of the biggest storyline of his career. Kennedy was about to be revealed as Mr. McMahon's illegitimate son, which would have been a huge moment for him and would have finally led to his ascension to the main event scene in WWE. But due to the public scandal, WWE were forced to cancel these major plans, and instead they oddly decided to have Hornswoggle be revealed as Mr. McMahon's illegitimate son. All the superstars involved in the scandal, with the exception of Orton, were suspended for 30 days, and this put WWE without 11 of their full-time superstars for a month, and both Raw and SmackDown were seriously impacted as a result. Number 6. John Cena's 2007 injury. By the time October 2007 came around, John Cena was certified as being the face of WWE. Therefore, on the 1st October 2007 edition of Raw, where Cena tore his right pectoral muscle, this naturally sent WWE into panic mode. Cena was set to defend the title against Randy Orton in a last man standing match just 6 days later at the No Mercy pay-per-view, but these plans were now up in the air. WWE now faced their top guy being out of action for an extended period, and their promoted pay-per-view main event was now cancelled. WWE instead decided to move Triple H into Cena's spot and would wrestle a total of 3 times on pay-per-view. This would involve 2 matches against Orton, including one last man standing match and a match against Umaga. All of these matches were for the WWE title, and it was a smart move for WWE to give the fans 3 title matches in the same show to make up for the absence of Cena. Luckily, in the weeks that followed, Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho made their returns to television, so thankfully WWE were able to manage in the absence of their top star. Number 5. Edge's retirement. When Edge retired in 2011, nobody saw it coming, especially those in WWE, as following WrestleMania 27, Edge's neck was simply too damaged for him to continue wrestling, and this meant that he was forced to retire and therefore surrender the world title. Well, this retirement was like no other. Traditionally, retirements are planned in advance, but with Edge, there was none of that. WWE were left with a huge hole when Edge departed from the company. He'd been one of their top stars and he was the face of SmackDown, and they urgently needed a suitable replacement for him. Now, WWE's idea was for Christian, Edge's real-life best friend, to win the world title at Extreme Rules pay-per-view. WWE would then move over Randy Orton to SmackDown in the 2011 draft to become the new top babyface on the Blue brand. Thankfully, in 2020, Edge would be finally able to return to the ring. He made his return at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view and has been putting on acclaimed performances ever since. Number 4. CM Punk walks out. On the day after the infamous 2014 Royal Rumble, CM Punk met with Vince McMahon and Triple H. In this meeting, Punk would declare that he was going to leave the WWE and nothing else could be said to change his mind. Punk was fed up, he was injured, and he was sick of the WWE creative direction. This sent WWE's WrestleMania 30 plans into disarray as Punk was supposed to face Triple H in one of the featured matches. Punk informed Triple H during this meeting that he didn't need to face him and that he could care less about the planned match. Due to Punk's departure, WWE had to put together a new WrestleMania match card. Triple H would then face Daniel Bryan, and Bryan would finally be added to the WrestleMania main event, a spot which fans and Punk believe that Bryan should have already been in. Number 3. The September 11, 2001 attacks. On the day of 9/11, WWE were set to tape SmackDown in Texas. However, all public gatherings were quite rightly cancelled due to safety implications. Vince McMahon decided to host a live SmackDown broadcast 2 days later, and that Thursday's edition of SmackDown would act as a tribute to the victims of the 9/11 attack. 12 days after 9/11, WWE was set to present their annual Unforgiven pay-per-view, but due to the mindset of the nation at the time, WWE booked babyface and American hero Kurt Angle to defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event to capture the WWE Championship. Now, the reign was short-lived, but nevertheless it was the right thing to do and certainly gave fans some much-needed escapism. Number 2. The Benoit tragedy. WWE had concrete plans in the place this summer of 2007 to make fan favourite Chris Benoit the new face of ECW, but after the tragedies, WWE were forced to cancel Raw and instead they would air a tribute to Benoit, but this was before the true details of Benoit's actions had been revealed. Following those details, Benoit was virtually erased from WWE history, and this has remained the case for over 14 years. The major storyline of the summer of 2007 was cancelled. This was to be the demise of the evil Mr. McMahon character, but due to the tragedy, McMahon was needed on WWE television. Benoit was initially booked to win the ECW World title at the Vengeance pay-per-view and was set to face CM Punk, but this was later changed. Benoit would be replaced by Johnny Nitro, and the WWE went with an alternative direction with the struggling ECW product. And number 1, COVID-19. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world in 2020, it dramatically changed how every company operated. In relation to WWE, their business model predominantly revolved around live entertainment, therefore they were at serious risk of financial loss at the hands of the outbreak. WWE would drastically alter their plans moving forward, as WrestleMania 36 and all future WWE shows up until the summer of 2020 will be moved to the Performance Center in Orlando. Mass testing would be implemented across the roster to ensure that all the talent and WWE staff were safe. Fans were not allowed in attendance for the shows, and this was for their safety and the safety of the WWE superstars themselves. Unfortunately, they also cut a number of superstars from their roster to save money during this difficult time. But WWE received widespread criticism for this move, as they didn't need to cut anyone as it was still making huge profits, but still WWE believed it was the best move to do. But although the pandemic was a difficult time period for all, WWE managed to deliver their weekly television shows as well as pay-per-view events during this time, and this was something that was certainly commendable. But there you have it folks, 10 real-life moments which altered WWE forever. Be sure to leave your comments down below and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.